It is 5:30 on the East Coast. It is 2:30 on the West Coast. It is the 22nd of October in the year of our Lord 2023, Season 5, Episode 13, 187 times. You have been welcomed to the Cheap Popcast, your one-stop shop for all things professional wrestling. Do not adjust your sets. We're live 2 weeks in a row. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Cheap Popcast. And not only are we live 2 weeks in a row, we're skating at full strength. Get your stuff together, kids. Jesus is coming. That way for me is my co-host, and I got it right the first time today. And a man who will illustrate his dominance in the next show. He is Alex.
Oh, I don't know about any dominance per se. But, you know, it is a Sunday. We're back. And I figured we're getting close enough to Halloween. I had to bust out the Mick Foley Texas Chainsaw Massacre shirt.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I guess I got to wear
into the spirit.
Because I have
Sorry?
a few. So I guess I got to start wearing my Halloween shirts this week. I got
That's
a few.
true.
At the bottom of your screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions, and a man that wants you to know that AEW was live in London. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
Yes, it was, and I was there.
And you were.
But I would like to. I am going to be putting up not very many, but still going to put up the Halloween decorations on the house this coming weekend. Getting ready for the thing. Kids, words get out about our house because we get full candy bars at our place. We don't play around.
Full size.
American.
Yeah.
You should.
America. You know, plus we get a little handful of the little mixer bag, but they get a pick of their own full-size bar, and then we drop a little extra in there. Word gets out about us.
So, want to welcome you, whether you're watching us live, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, or whether you're on Twitch. We're just happy that you're with us. Remember, we do have our chat room up and running if you're watching live. And if you're on YouTube or Facebook, I think you can, or Twitch, I think you can just interact if you're watching on the archive too. So we're good either way. A couple of headlines before we get into the week that was. Interesting Bad Bunny note for those of you that are interested in such things. His 2024 tour dates have been released, and he is not booked on night 2 of what will be WrestleMania.
That's not surprising in the least. I mean, to give credit, I'm surprised he's booked for either night because before he was involved with the company, he was a huge wrestling fan. I mean, he went out of his way, even going outside of his comfort zone to be in Cassandra. So
we'll see what happens with the Bad Bunny there.
The question is, where is he on night 1 of WrestleMania?
That I don't know. On tour.
Okay.
That's what I got. And I guarantee you it's somewhere that he can get to Philly quickly.
Yeah.
And I'd like to welcome all
it's probably in Jersey.
Yeah.
I would like to welcome this evening anyone that wants to be a Doll fan. You are welcome. Come join us. So mad at the NFL right now.
Other show, bro.
If you got some money to burn and you want to get behind a paywall, you could listen to a podcast by The Undertaker.
Mm.
He has a new podcast. It's called 6 Feet Under with Mark Calloway, but you got to pay for it.
Because of course you do. I mean, we've talked about what the tickets cost for his One Dead Man show, did we not?
How much were they again?
More than I can afford.
I want to say that the tickets that were available were like $500 to $600.
God, and that's face.
That was face value, but that was also during the WrestleMania where it started, so it may have come down since.
I feel like Ric Flair does something and then Taker goes, "Hold my beer." At this point,
no, I think there are people like, I don't know, 3 guys you might see on your screen or hear on whatever device it is. We do stuff. Then Ric Flair realizes nobody's talked about him in 15 minutes. And then somebody at the company goes, "Hey, we still have Taker under the lifetime contract, right? Can we send him a microphone?" "Yes, and a camera." Okay, good.
Things and changes and things. You have been forewarned that after next week's show, there will be a physical difference in my appearance for a little while.
Oh, I know.
I know. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
I know. I'm looking forward to it, though. I'm proud of you. I'm glad you do that every year. I'm proud of you for that.
But you'll probably only see it on 2 episodes because then we're going to be off for like 3 weeks. So, because we've got Dallas Comic Show. I don't know exactly what the lineup is there. I might be doing panels on Sunday, and if that's the case, we can have shows. And then the following 2 weeks, I am out of town. So I'm leaving the Sunday after Thanksgiving, driving to North Carolina for my niece's wedding, which is on a Sunday. So there's that.
Better than on a Monday.
Yeah, you do have scoreboard on me there.
I'm not trying to do scoreboard. I'm just clarifying.
No, I'm not saying you're trying to. I'm just saying it exists. Whether you tried or not, it does exist.
Valid.
Shout out to the Rhea Ripley, who, by the way, she has now ended the debate. If you saw her Instagram post, as she was dressed as a piece of pizza, and Buddy was dressed as a pineapple. They are together. I'm not going to be the one to argue otherwise. Plus, I agree with them. She has actually earned the top spot in the 2023 PWI Women's 250. And
I believe she's back-to-back years now, isn't she? Or was it Bianca last year?
I do not know. But I can say, people can say whatever they want about PWI. Number one, PWI has been around at least as long as I've walked the earth. 2, if you look at their lists, they go deep. So to get a ranking at all on the PWI list is a big deal. To top that list is an even bigger deal.
But the other thing I like to give them credit for is they tell you flat out what their parameters are as far as showcase matches, success, and everything that goes along with it. They tell you exactly what parameters they use.
And it's also a good source if you want to learn about other promotions or other people you might see on TV down the road. I also want to apologize for last week's show. I'm using a new board, and this new board doesn't have a mute button on it. So if I need to cough, last week I was muting my microphone, and I think when I did that, I muted everybody. So I'm having to turn the volume on my microphone off if I have to cough. Does that make sense?
Heads up, quick fact check. The Undertaker show, like the one coming up on November 10th, next in about a week and a half or whatever, 2 weeks.
2 weeks from Friday.
Yeah, the face value tickets it ranged from $38 to $350.
So 38 means you're sitting in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, a very top second balcony, and that was at the Agora Theater in Cleveland. So,
Alex, everything okay on your end? You looked a little confused there for a minute.
I had a little bit of static and backup, but quick correction and that was the 2023 that Rhea was number 1 on, correct?
That is the headline I read, yes.
Okay, so from 2022, it looks like she was actually 42nd and way down the list, but I don't know the validity of it because it wasn't the direct PWI list.
Fair enough. So notes from Monday Night Raw, keep your eyes peeled tomorrow night. The show might be represented. That's all I'm saying. I don't like this fantasy booking. Let me preface this.
Okay.
And I don't think it actually happens. But now that KO's on SmackDown, could you turn him heel and tag him with Jimmy versus Cody and Jay?
If you turn KO into the honorary Uce, I'm asking.
I'm just saying you just turn him heel. You don't have to get him involved with the bloodline because...
Well, no. But if you're setting up KO and Jimmy, that's where my brain goes.
Right, but as we can tell, the bloodline's almost done.
Allegedly. Depends on if you have Heyman or not. Could you? Yes. I'm not a fan of that.
I said I didn't like the booking.
Yeah.
Just something hit my brain.
See, for me, what I would more fantasy book with KO now on SmackDown is him talking to Solo, being like, I'm the prize fighter, you're the street champion. you don't need this. You're better than that. And I feel like that actually feeds into the relative cold streak that Solo has been on lately after they've protected him for so long. I think that is more likely where you get KO and Solo than you do KO and Jimmy. Because I don't think we're going to get Jay and Jimmy until Mania, as crazy as that sounds.
I think there's another possibility too.
Go
And
for it.
I don't like what just hit my brain either.
Is it my fault?
No. We have a title change at Crown Jewel, and there's KO's next feud.
Are you referring to a certain, and I'm using air quotes, boxer being a champion?
Yep. Although he was a great US, KO was a great US champion when he was a heel.
I was going to say he was a wildly underrated US champion. You and I talked at length about just the subtle things that he did, and I will never forget because they had the illuminated floor and he wouldn't walk over his own face. That was, and I believe you're the one that pointed that out first, so I don't want to steal any thunder.
Well, you're good either way. Rollins is apparently watching too much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and old Hardy Boys footage this week.
Honestly, I was thinking more the Cruella DeVille aspect of it.
I can see that. Be funny if he came out with he had redone the streak in his hair that he had when they first came in.
You know what? I've been calling for that to come back because it's now ridiculous to me. And I don't mean ridiculous as in over the top. It's been that for a while. He doesn't look special. And I hate to say that because he is, for my money, arguably the best wrestler on the planet, if not top 2. But he doesn't, outside of, like, when he gets into wrestling, it's like, okay, it's Seth and he's wearing pants, moving along. Whereas there's just something about bigger star appeal. Like, you see Cody's trunks, you know it's Cody. Yep. You see Roman, you know it's the head of the table. And there's just something with Seth right now that, and a friend of the show, Steven Zimmerman, once said about another person, right now, Seth kind of feels like an entrance and then what you expect in a match. Like, the only thing unique is what is he wearing this time? And I can kind of sense, and I don't know, did either of you guys notice that this week that the singing wasn't necessarily as full throat? And I feel like people might be getting a little sick of Monday Night Rollins.
We'll have to look tomorrow night because, Dallas crowds are always up for it. And I'm very upset because we don't get to start the chant we want to start because that'll be on the other show.
Unless there's something off air.
I would love it, but I want it on air because I want people to do it.
I want both, yes. So, selfishly, I would like both.
You guys know how not a fan of gimmick infringement I am.
Yes.
But if they do something, I'm willing to give it a pass.
They being?
The company.
Yeah. Okay.
I want timeless Mike Mizanin.
Thomas Mike Mizanin?
No. I am shooting this down on every front.
That promo Monday night, they're kind of leaning into it a little bit.
Haven't they done enough with watch the other show and poo-poo it over the last couple of weeks?
There was a sign this week I want to bring up later about that.
Thomas Mike Mizanin. What do you...
Okay, let's break it down, Don.
Okay, Timeless
currently used by
Miz?
No.
How much product are you watching right now, Don, before I get to throwing something through my screen? Are you watching AEW?
Yeah, of course.
Timeless Tony Storm.
Oh, Storm. Okay.
Wait.
You're thinking different company. That's
why I said gimmick infringement.
Okay. But you're going above my head.
But it's also Dawn, and every time they do the Timeless Tony Storm thing, they cut to commercials and do picture-in-picture, which means Dawn is running for his 47th Gatorade or to unleash the 46th.
No, because we talked about it last week on the show and you weren't here, so he knows.
Okay.
There's no reason for him to not know.
Okay.
Well, but you want to talk about gimmick infringement. Do you know why that bothers me, even though she's doing a great job with it? It's the hot mess Chelsea Green thing. They've just turned it into a matinee idol.
Yeah, but the way they're doing it with her is so brilliant.
No, she's doing it brilliantly. Everything else is following her lead. And
But
respect to RJ City helping.
I don't care who's gets the credit. It's still greatness no matter who it is.
It's uncomfortable, but in the best way.
Every time they do it, it goes to picture in picture is just that much funnier. Because even on my TV, I'm kind of like, what's going on there? I'm like Jackson when I was on a job interview where he was like, hey, what's going on here, Dad? Yeah, what's this? He actually did that when I was in a job interview a couple years ago. It actually helped me get the job. I do want to say this. Akira Tozawa is living his best life right now.
He has been for a while. Like, of all the people that survived the multiple roster cuts, for Tozawa to survive is just happiness.
And I love how he just shows up randomly on shows.
And he always fits.
Yeah.
He always fits. It's never too far out of the realm for you to go, why is he here? You're like, you know why? It's Tozawa.
And hashtag and new tag champs. Moving on. Oh, that shouldn't be there. That goes.
But were you surprised by that? Because I was.
I was just kind of like,
The only thing that made me very angry about this is because I got very excited after the last plea, thinking, oh, good, we're going to get rid of the duplicate belt. Cody's going to bring back the original tag team, and they lost it.
Yeah. NXT notes. This is literally as I was watching it. Hey, Trick Williams being added to that match was good booking. And then that.
Yeah. I kind of see where they're going with this, though. I apologize. Did I cut you off?
No, not at all.
I like the idea of Trick because he is over with the crowd, as over as anybody in that company right now. And he's come a long way. Like, I felt like he was like, okay, we stuck him with Carmelo because Melo is a very good wrestler or sports entertainer, depending on how you want to take the angle. And Trick seems a little rough around the edges. He has come leaps and bounds since then.
Well,
and he deserves some shine.
I could not get to Wikipedia fast enough to see if that was his actual high school jacket. It wasn't. Because it said class of 15 and he graduated before that. And it didn't match any of his college.
No, that's a designer.
I'm just saying it like I didn't, I'm fashion stupid.
Well, no. I remember looking it up for what it was. I don't have the note on it, but it is a fashion design.
I will say I do like this aggressive Nathan Frazier.
You know what? I really like him. I really, there's one thing I don't like about him, but everything else I have been on board since he was working with AEW.
So I do like the fact that he just took the fight to Dom the way he did.
Absolutely.
I like version of him. And I have been known to notice little things.
This is
which is why I enjoy films like Airplane, stuff like The Naked Gun, stuff like Police Squad, because I like looking for the things in the background. However, NXT. First of all, we knew earlier in the day that Jakara was not going to be part of the women's breakout tournament, which is fine. Like, if you don't go online and do the research, you wouldn't know that. However, after the first women's breakout tournament match, you already had Brinley Reese on the screen, and then an hour later surprised the pivot. Like, you did that an hour ago, bro.
Okay, I have a really terrible question about this, but that's also because I've been paying so little attention to NXT because the product.
Mm-hmm.
Is Brinley Reese Sol Ruca?
I thought that too, but I don't think so.
Okay, because I'm not sure if we're leading into the Hype Sisters or what we're doing with the two of them being so similar, but I genuinely thought it was. Don, would you mind looking up and seeing if Brinley Reese is Sol Ruca or if they're just running the same gimmick while Ruca was hurt?
Brinley, BR.
I honestly would be guessing if I told you.
Brinley.
Her real name is Brianna Ruggiero. She was born in California. Isn't Sol Ruca from like Australia or something?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I thought Sol Ruca was also from Long Beach or something like that.
Okay, I'm looking at
Sol Ruca's real name is Calix Hampton. She was born in Ontario, California. CALY is how you spell her first name. Sorry, Don. I already had.
No, that's right. No, you're trying to.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really have a wiki.
But I can understand that the confusion because they are very similar in appearance.
They are incredibly similar in appearance. I feel like they're wearing the same gear, and I am equally uninterested in either of them. But you know what? If we're still talking about the breakout tournament, I am so happy to see Ariana Grace win.
I love how she sold the win too, like she had just won the beauty pageant.
Yes.
Sell the bit, kiddo.
Well, let's be honest. Her first education was in how to get over as a character because, her dad.
Could she be the greatest breakout champion of all the times?
You know what the worst part is? You cut off. I was going to feed Don to see if he remembered who it was, but I think you just gave it away.
That's okay. Because I can't see her and not see him. I just can't because that we all know.
No, she's absolutely going to be doing the hot-o-meter when it gets to that.
So here for it. NWA, big news. Don, do you know the big news?
Mm-mm.
Then you're going to wait because I got another headline first.
Okay, I'm on pins and needles, though.
Don, do you know who your current NWA champion is? We mentioned this last week.
No, I do not know.
EC3.
You brought him up last week on the show last week. That's right.
Yeah,
What?
That's what I just said.
I know, but you said EC3, and now I'm putting the two together.
See, Don doesn't hear anything until he says it himself. That's what we're dealing with right
He
now.
apparently wants side plates for the belt.
No! No! No!
Leave that belt alone. That belt is iconic. It should always be carried like a notebook, and it should never be changed.
May I pivot something for you?
Please.
Which I would be all for.
Please do.
So EC3 has been being the face going up against the debacle that was Tyrus. EC3 turning somewhat heel and leaning into the EC3 character that he was with NXT. Very self-absorbed, very I am in the top 1%. Still one of my favorite entrance themes. He has his own belt made that the main plate is the equivalent of what they would do with a side plate, but he has the NWAs being carried by a valet. Not a valet, because valets park cars, a valet like a butler. Okay. So you have the original belt untouched, but you have the EC3 championship that literally just has stuff crediting himself. One side just says control your narrative. The main plate is EC3. The other plate is just this.
Well, and on the inside of the belt, the liner should just say trouble, 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 trouble.
Or alternating between trouble and 1% over and over again. So you break up.
So, Don, another thing we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Was that Billy Corrigan stating that a TV deal was in place with a top 20 network. Do you recall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That network has now been revealed.
Wait, can I play a game real quick?
Yes.
Don, from number 1 to number 20, which number along that list do you think the station they signed with is?
I hope you have that answer because I don't.
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
So
number one,
he said it was a top 20 network.
Okay.
Before we reveal who the network is, Alex wants you to pick what number between 1 and 20 that network lies in. Without knowing the network.
19.
I feel like he looked it up.
No.
It is 100% number 19.
No, 19. A network that seems to be beefing up the sports side of itself. We do not have a start date yet, but the NWA and a behind-the-scenes reality show will air on the CW.
So
Now,
so the CW now is going to be getting the
soon. We don't know the logistics have not fully been worked out, but the
Okay.
deal has been signed.
We only know that it's a multi-year deal with the CW.
Okay.
Now, you're going to hear me say something. I've said it before, but it means more now. Because the NWA is coming back to television. So CW, hear me. Listen to me. I've never asked anything of you except make Inside the NFL better. Saturday night, 6:05 Eastern. Do it. Because you're using the same set from World Championship Wrestling on TBS. You got the belt. You've encompassed what the NWA was when I was a kid. 6:05 Eastern on the CW. Please, for the love of God and in the name of all things good and holy, do this. Alex.
As attrition, I will add on to this. You will take the TV title and you will cover the entire back with your fanciest CW covering so that it is close to the champion's heart when they put it over their shoulder. That is the counterpoint for you doing Saturday at 6:05.
Please. You got nothing going on the weekends, bro.
What does the
You're
CW have going on anyways?
They have
Live?
weeknight stuff.
Yeah.
They've got Inside the NFL. They've got shows, but you know, for the love of God, do this one thing for me. You will get ratings because number one, you won't go up against anything because Collision won't start till an hour later.
If not later than that, based on
Actually, 2
certain
hours later
aspects.
because it's what 8 Eastern, right? Like last week, it was 7 Eastern the first.
Well, it supposedly it's going to start looking at getting pushed further back and being a more gritty TV show,
and Saturday
which we'll talk about more of that when we get to that show.
do this, please. I beg of you. You will I will watch that show. I promise you. As a guy that already consumes 17 hours of wrestling a week, I will add that one. If you do this. Because you already
Are you threatening to not watch if they don't?
Well, I stopped watching when they killed my subscription. Because they don't do their thing with Fight where you get all the pay-per-views anymore. They killed that earlier this year. So I have no really reason to watch. And plus, it's on YouTube, and I watch enough. I have YouTube TV. If I'm going to watch YouTube.
Yeah.
But they are going to do a behind-the-scenes show. Apparently, he did this before with another promotion that he worked with that is still set to air. So, we'll see.
Are you talking about Billy Corgan, or excuse me, William Patrick Corgan, and another company that he is working with?
No, it was at one point, yes.
Okay, because
But also,
I don't.
and newlywed William Patrick Corgan.
Yes, but have you seen the other NWA news or talked about it last week? I do apologize. I can't remember if it happened before air.
Go ahead. I mean, I can neither confirm or
That
deny.
the NWA has started signing agreements with smaller promotions as if they're trying to rebuild the territory structure.
I read something about that, but no, we didn't talk about it last week.
Okay, so NWA is currently in negotiations. They signed with one, but I'd have to look it up, and I do apologize. But they are looking at essentially taking smaller companies, smaller areas, signing a deal with them, and reestablishing territory aspect so they would have a home to go to if they were to travel places and do shows. I'm trying to, I don't type well with my left hand. I do apologize.
Well, while you're, we can go back to that while you're looking that up. If you are here in our fair burg, you need to circle December 13th on your calendar.
What's up?
In Arlington, more
AEW
specifically.
No, sir. Incorrect.
Oh.
AEW Dynamite at the Colwell Center.
That has been changed. That was literally just reported about an hour before we went on air. It is now in Arlington.
Poop.
Yep. They are doing it at Don, where was the NWA, or not the NWA, the Impact pay-per-view that was
UTA.
in
UTA.
That's where it is.
Yeah. So that's where they did the other thing last year, which I guess they're doing it there too. Because this is the time of year that they come to town. Because if you remember, it was Winter is Coming 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, when Sting showed up. And all I had to say about that is Revolution 2024. Let's go. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. The man is 62 years old and he's still jumping off of things.
Well, are we leading into the rest of that story?
I do. The other headline I have, because that's the only note I have for Dynamite, but the only other headline is Brock Anderson no longer with the company as well.
I don't like saying this, but I feel like he's one of those Jags that got into the business because of who their dad was as a legend, and I never really saw anything from Brock Anderson that moved the needle for me.
I like the kid. I like to see what happens when he's.
I want him to do well. Let me clarify that. I want
yeah.
him to do well, but
have him change his name, and him and Pillman Jr. can do the thing.
So let me ask you about Anderson, the son. Do you think he would have got even at AEW without his dad?
I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on that because I like the kid. I think the kid's got talent. I think that talent to me was hindered by living in his old man's shadow. And so you're constantly comparing him to one of the greatest of all time to do it. Let him be his own man for a little while. You know?
And to be perfectly honest, I didn't see anything from him that would tell me that he would have been able to get over, so to speak. But I could be totally wrong on that.
He's a spitting image of his old man at that age. I'll tell you that much.
He kind of looks like a less in shape, less intimidating version of his old man at that age. But then again, I'm also the same person who has said for years, stop calling her Charlotte Flair. She doesn't need it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
So what other, you had more to the Sting story?
No. Just that the final date basically lines up with the fact that he had a 3-year contract. It is running to that point. Have they announced a location for that show by chance?
I have not heard. AEW Revolution 2024. Nothing that I can see as yet. Oh,
Because
they said this year. They're not saying yet. Yeah, they're not saying yet. There's nothing I can see.
okay.
Yeah, TBA is what Smart Out Moment is reporting.
Well, the reason I was saying that was because I wouldn't be surprised if part of the pivot to UTA is because they will come back to this area for Revolution, because it is, let's be honest, people don't talk about it because the last time we had a location for him was Long Beach, California, and Surfer Sting. But the dude lives 20 minutes that way. Not an exaggeration.
And with so much drama in the LBC, you should have it here anyway.
Okay. Can I add?
Please do.
So looking at AEW's website, the December 13 is in Arlington.
No, Alex said that they changed it.
I know, to Arlington.
Right.
But the 15th is in
Not,
Garland. What?
we haven't gotten to Ring of Honor yet.
Okay. I understand, but they have Collision.
That's a Ring of Honor show.
No, it's saying Collision.
Right. But there's a Ring of Honor show too.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a minute. Because this is furthering what I talked about last week when I said they have got to start separating Ring of Honor more.
Yeah, you're saying.
Bound for Glory was last night. You had one belt change hands. The Ace and Bay Club are your new tag champs again.
The ABC.
Yep. There was the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match was intergender this year. and it was won by Jordan Grace.
Are we surprised?
Sonny Kiss has joined them now. She is part of Impact. I apologize for that. Moose announced he will cash in at Hard to Kill.
Waiting.
Interesting that we talk about Hard to Kill, because this is the not year that that's going to be in Dallas. It's like it rotates every other year. It's here. But Hard to Kill will be in Vegas on January 13th. Don, do you know why that's important?
No.
Because that will be the day that Impact Wrestling no longer exists.
You like that timing on the banner?
That's when they're doing the switchover or whatever.
To
TNA.
TNA will return on January 13th. They are bringing the brand back. The six-sided ring will not return, amongst complaints by the talent that's been causing worse injuries on their body than the four-sided ring. That will also be the night, like I said, that Moose is going to cash in. New title belts have already been created, and those that have seen it are very happy about it. A lot of this decision is coming from their international partners who prefer the TNA branding to simply Impact Wrestling. So I'm excited. I like the TNA branding. I always thought it looked better. Impact Wrestling in any of its iterations has looked very generic, especially in the blue and white era. The current era, it's okay. I hate with the company, I hate when all the belts look alike. It wears me out. So looking forward to seeing what happens come mid-January.
Well, it's
Before
interesting.
that-
Are those connected at any? Is the changeover at all connected to William Patrick Corgan? Because I know he had a lawsuit against TNA/Impact/Anthem, and I don't know if that has gone by the wayside, which is why they're allowed to use TNA again.
It probably is. I read something about that, but there wasn't anything definitive in the article that I read.
Understood.
But before that, November the 3rd will be Turning Point in Newcastle, England. But it will not air. I'm sorry, this Friday, but it won't air on Impact Plus until November 3rd. So Turning Point is this coming Friday, the 27th. A week later, it will be on Impact Plus. So they're not going to stream it live or anything, from what I've read. But they're stacking up that card quick. Like 8 matches have been announced in the last 4 days. Like that's how.
Well, and one of them has been in the works for a couple of months now. So
the only note I have from Impact Wrestling is I don't know that I'll ever be used to Rhino being referred to as the War Machine.
Really,
it's never been something that I connected to him. And if it ain't connected by now, it ain't connected anytime soon.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, you always think of him as the Gore and stuff like that, but not a War Machine.
No, he's
used
that name for many, many years. I just can't connect it.
That's a Paul Heyman creation.
Yeah, but I still can't connect
since he debuted, he was the War Machine Rhino.
Yeah, that's
why I'm surprised it didn't connect for you.
It's never resonated for me. Especially now because there's War Machine, there's only one, and it's a tag team.
Oh yeah.
Ring of Honor. Now, Don said that Collision might be scheduled for Garland. That would make less sense to me. I would think Collision you would do in Garland or in Arlington, because Ring of Honor Final Battle takes place. Well, no, because Final Battle would be on Friday night, Collision Saturday night. So I could see all 3 of those happening in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they were just feeling squirrely and wanted to do Dynamite in Arlington and then the other 2 in Garland.
Well, it's also the Colwell Center. I'm wondering if there was some kind of a winter event, and let's just say sometimes companies make assumptions that they were going to be able to run multiple days in a venue that already had multiple days booked up, whereas the venue is used to them taping everything in one long go.
Yeah,
well,
so
it
is on their website. I mean, it says ROH Final Battle, 6 o'clock, Garland, And then the 16th is Collision on Saturday. And
In
then Garland. But Wednesday is Arlington. So it's Wednesday, then Friday, Saturday in Garland.
Well, and they've notoriously done Dynamite and Collision in different venues.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
just might be easier for them to do because
But
it's all,
yeah, it says just ROH on Friday. That's it.
and that will be Final Battle.
Yeah.
So get ready, Garland, Texas, because last year it was in Arlington, if I remember correctly, because it was in the middle of the day because they were running against, I think, like there was a plea that night, so they backed.
I think that might have been 2 years ago.
I think it was last year.
Okay, I thought it was 2 years ago because they were in the same area as other events, and we couldn't do both because we were doing other stuff like SmackDown.
No, because I think if I remember correctly, it was last year.
December 10th in the college in Arlington.
It was last year.
December 10th, 2022.
2022.
Yeah, and it was at, like,
I stand
2 in
corrected.
the afternoon because something was going on that night that they weren't going to go up against. I want to say it was like an NXT plea.
NXT deadline in UFC 282.
It was UFC. That's what
Nah.
it was. Because that was apparently that was a stacked card, and they were like, "No,
Mhm.
no, thank you."
But NXT deadline also, they had the same thing.
Well, this year the week before. Deadline's the week before. Show notes. Ring of Honor went 134 this week.
That's all you got, right?
Oh, and by the way, no, I got a little bit more. By the way, I did watch everything up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in real time because I was in Pittsburgh. I still don't know how people do that, especially on East Coast time. Dear God, man. 8 o'clock is already late for Old Man Rob. When I'm watching wrestling with commercials until 11, not good. Not good for me at all. They definitely taped that before Collision. Somebody's watching this show because there was actually a crowd. God bless you. And did you notice somebody on Dynamite that was a security guard that wrestled on Ring of Honor? You probably didn't watch Ring of Honor.
I did not, but I know of 2 people who were security guards that we are aware of.
Somebody that we've seen live multiple times working for a different promotion.
2 different people, yes.
We had 2 Myron Reed sightings in a week.
Well, did you notice that the security guard next to Myron Reed was Jake Christ?
Yes, I saw that report as well.
Okay.
But Chris, I don't think wrestled on Ring of Honor. I know.
I don't believe he had either.
Rampage did nothing for me.
Oh, there should be something.
Did it?
Friend of the show getting destroyed.
Well, yeah, but destroyed by a guy he trains with.
That's also true.
This week's SmackDown will be on FS1 for those of you that don't have a DVR that will catch that. Mine will catch it because YouTube TV just finds it. I will say that Montez Ford cueing the commercial break made me laugh.
It did make me chuckle.
I very
I
much
did chuckle
like
pretty
that.
heartily at that.
Jimmy Uso. I love you, Jimmy Uso. I don't know if I blame that super kick on you or Cena. I am closer to Don's house than Jimmy Uso was in that super kick.
It reminded me of the Frenchie punch. Remember?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was... You could have easily put a sandwich between Jey Uso's foot and John Cena's head.
Well, he might have been aiming where the hair used to be.
And a good sandwich at that. Speaking of good food.
Like Permetti Brothers.
I didn't realize there's one of those in the airport until I was there the other day, Don. So I know because I missed Permani this time. If I miss it next time, I know I can get it in the airport now.
Yes, you can.
So, and I did
How could you miss it though? You tell it.
I was on the other side.
What do you mean?
When you come off the tram,
Mhm.
you can go one of 2 ways. I always go this way because that's where the American gates are.
Yeah, okay.
Permani's was this way.
I mean, how come you didn't while you're there for a couple days? You can take.
Because I was spending time with my coworkers
I know.
and they live there.
Okay.
So Permani's isn't a big deal to them.
Okay.
Last time I did it the first night I got there, but this time
Yeah.
the first night I got there, I got caught up in some other stuff. I went to, and we'll talk about that in the other show too. But We have one quick food note. Shout out to HEB's smoked brisket queso. It is delightful. And I'll probably have some more leftovers when we finish tonight. Overall, the barbecue was pretty good. Sides,
Okay.
my wife did not enjoy the potato salad. So Cena's promo, am I looking too far into that, or was that a shot at Sting?
Nope, I literally took that as a shot. Now, I don't know that it was a shot at Sting. I feel like Sting was the collateral damage of them saying, yeah, let's just go crap on whatever AEW did. Although
you're better than that,
I have to reiterate, going back to the AEW stuff of like Tony Khan has a gift for Sting. I don't understand, and that doesn't make me want to watch.
I think they're going to do like a farewell tour thing with him. You're going to see stuff every week between now and February. I'm resigned to it.
I don't know that we do something every week in that scope. I think what it might be is more of an introduction of a Steve Borden invitational of some kind, and that be every week, not necessarily something. Now, obviously, I'm using the term. What?
I wouldn't if it were me, because of the one you already have.
Oh, no, I totally understand what you mean, but I don't know that there's really anything they can do that would be.
From what I've read, it's going to be like a This Is Your Life thing for the next 3 months.
Which feels like the last days of WCW to me.
Yeah.
And that's not a good comparison to have.
Well, we'll see. I also will say welcome to the seeds for Survivor Series. Survivor Series will be Battleground.
Well, I very much enjoyed that aspect, but that's also because, and I started giggling, and Sean asked me because we were watching, and I was like, ooh, NWA Heavyweights champion fight.
Well, that was the one thing that you and I talked about off air after the show last week, how you had 3 different NWA champions in authoritative positions last week. You include Cody.
Yep.
Collision. They were in Pennsylvania, right?
Where were they?
Wherever they were.
It
Crowd.
was Memphis.
Oh, Memphis. That's right. Memphis.
That's right. It was so blasé.
I'm already annoyed by the This Is Awesome chant.
Mm-hmm.
Can you wait a little bit after the bell rings to start it? Like, I understand that match was going to be great. Don't get me wrong. But that chant literally started at the opening bell. Let it breathe, bro.
Rebuttal.
Please.
I actually had no issue with it this time, and you know how much I hate that chant. But to me, that was more of the this is awesome that we're going to get this match that likely would have never happened if certain people stayed with a certain company.
It makes me sad.
Yeah, no, it's too overused, but I did not take issue with it this time. Now, when they start chanting "This is awesome" for a subpar TV match, yeah, I'm not going to use that word. We don't say that stuff.
Yeah.
but
I mean, and it did live up to that. Danielson Andrade was a great match.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching that match.
I really dug how they closed it.
Nigel with a Zach Gowen reference.
Oh, that broke me.
I was like, wow.
That broke me so badly.
I just want to say to people, debate me that Nigel McGuinness is the greatest heel announcer of this generation.
I fell off the couch.
There are none better than Nigel McGuinness. I've been a fan for 20 years. This guy is amazing. And if he gets back in the ring, great. But if he doesn't, as long as he's on my TV, I'm good.
Well, did you notice that they have started planting seeds for that?
No. Oh, for McGuinness? Yes, that I do.
Yeah. No. But I mean, who McGuinness is, who would be, let's call it the pull to get him back in the ring from a story aspect.
Go ahead.
He has been going extra deep cut and dirty comments on Danielson.
I'm here for it.
Now, you having more experience with it than I do, what happened when those two were in the ring last?
I don't know what happened last because I came in on such the tail end of his in-ring career. I had to go back and watch a bunch of stuff.
But that was the ROH 2 titles becoming 1. The end of the pure title
The pure title reign
was those 2. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you ever just want to fall down a rabbit hole, just go to YouTube and watch old Nigel McGuinness matches when he had the truffle hair.
The
I
hedgehog of a-hole.
Yes.
the thing with the House of Black and then meeting up with like Big Bill and all that, I could see that around the time of Blood and Guts, like in the summer. But what was the point of the 5-on-5 at this point? I could see the House of Black taking on the Blackpool at the same as a feud. Those three against those two things going at it, but adding FTR and stuff, I don't know. Go out.
I don't think it's necessarily going after Ricky Starks and Big Bill because they did it multiple times. And if you look, every person that they attacked has been part of a triumvirate, has been part of a trios group. So I think this is House of Black attacking every other trios grouping. And then we're going to lead into essentially I don't know, maybe something that doesn't exist, but a trios tournament that will pay off in a title or a gauntlet of some kind where there's trios. And they're basically staking their claim as the trios that run everything. Because I also think House of Black is going to be the revealed devil attacking Jay White and Bullet Club Gold.
Can I contradict myself?
Yeah.
Always.
I think there's another step for them first.
Go on.
I'm going to tell you who I think their first victim is, and it's not the AEW Trios Champions.
I like that. I like that idea.
As much as I want ROH to be its own thing, I think them going and getting the ROH, and let's be clear, again, it is not the ROH Trios Championship. Trios is an AEW branded belt. These are the Ring of Honor 6-man tag belts.
Yes, it is.
I'm sick and tired of the terminology confusion. You have to separate them. It's why you don't have an AEW television champion. You have a Ring of Honor television champion. But if I booked it, that's where I would go first. Take out the guys that everybody knows are the head guys, and then work your way around to it because they've already held those belts. So instead of going straight back to those belts, let's take a side trip. Let's take a side quest. Let them go beat up on Ring of Honor for a while and build momentum, and then they just show back up in AEW.
Well, and the other part about it is the first one that was attacked with knowing it is them was Danielson, a.k.a. pretty much your now de facto leader of Blackpool Combat Club. Blackpool Combat Club, who were holding ROH titles. So maybe it's House of Black that are going to go roughshod over ROH programming. They get the 6-man tag belts. Malachi Black becomes your world champion. Buddy Murphy becomes your pure champion. Like, I'm spitballing at this point. They don't mess with Joe because Samoa Joe will kill you. But you also can set up Julia Hart going after Athena for the women's belt, and then they run ROH. Whereas you have Collision is run by Blackpool Combat Club and Danielson, and then the Elite run Dynamite, and you can set up your multi-faction warfare, so to speak, from a wrestling standpoint.
Separate booking that, as Don mentioned earlier, you could stretch that out to lead up to Blood and Guts.
Ooh, have they ever done a multi-team Blood and Guts or war games?
It's only been 2. Well, there's been, I think there was, there's never been.
NXT did one. No, NXT did a 3-team one time.
Are you sure?
I'm very confident, Don, if you wouldn't mind.
Look
What's
up
that?
the history of NXT War Games. Was there ever a 3-team War
Yeah.
Game? I don't.
Yeah, the blood and guts with AEW has always been 2 teams.
No, I know.
No,
Right?
no,
now,
no. We're talking about War Games, Don.
Yeah,
I know, I know,
I
I
want
know.
to say confidently that it was Undisputed Era, AOP's team, whatever that was, and then another NXT team for the men's. I feel very confident about
I don't think that was a War Games match.
I believe it. Well, you know what? I think it was 3. It was 3-man teams. It was Roderick Strong and AOP as one team, and then another team of 3 that I am drawing a blank on who was involved. But I feel very.
I think that was before War Games because I know what match you're talking about, but I don't think it was a War Games match. It might have been a cage match because that was when Roddy joined Undisputed Era after that match.
Well, no. Roddy joined during the Dusty Classic. That was the finals of the Dusty Classic.
Oh,
that
Okay,
year.
so NXT 2017, Undisputed Era of Cole, Fish, and O'Reilly versus Authors of Pain of Akam and Rezar, and Roderick Strong versus Sainty, Wolf, Eric Young, and Killian Dane.
Sanity. Okay. I didn't realize that was a War Games match. All right.
It was in 2017.
That
But
must
from then
have
on,
been
it was 2 teams after that, like the Undisputed Era against like the Pete Dunne in 2018, the Ciampa versus the Undisputed Era in 819.
That had to have been the era that Alex, you were watching NXT and I wasn't because it was still on WWE Network. So yeah,
that sounds likely. Oh, that was the one that was in Houston before Survivor Series too. We know somebody who was there for that.
Yep. Like I said corrected, and I got no issue with it. Sign of the week does go to Collision. Very simple sign, and it just said, "It's okay to watch both."
I did see that, and I very much enjoyed it.
Also, going back to SmackDown, I have a friend of the show, Crystal, actually was there. She had one of the big "yeah" signs that was off camera right up to the corner. And she'll be at Raw tomorrow night. So maybe we'll see her. So anything else? Because Reality of Wrestling hasn't done a new episode in a month and a half. And the last
Somebody's
3
been
episodes,
busy.
well, the last 3 episodes were reruns, literally. And they just had an event this weekend. So hopefully we'll have some new episodes of Reality of Wrestling starting next week. WoW has done a bit of a facelift on their aesthetic. It's still WoW. It gets me through about 45 minutes. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not terrible. Anything else, gentlemen? We got 3 minutes, so we get to break.
Real quickly, I just wanted to question: Did you, either of you start watching Wrestlers on Netflix?
Not yet. It's in my queue. Having been out of town all week, I was not doing anything. I might take some time this coming weekend to watch it.
I will say I was pleasantly surprised how well done it is. And in case you did watch Rampage and you were like, who's facing Sky Blue? She's from OVW and is a big focus of the show. I'm not going to say you're really rooting for certain people in that show. It's just incredibly well done.
What's the premise of that show?
So it
in
is,
a nutshell.
We're familiar with OVW, the original NXT before it became Florida Championship. Rebranded as NXT. So it is Al Snow as now part owner of OVW, trying to keep this business afloat, and how he deals with certain aspects of the business, his investors who have very different ideas. And let me just say, I've never felt worse about thinking somebody was a jerk, and then the next episode makes me feel terrible. So fair warning on that one. Still think the guy's a jerk, but there's a lot of, as Rob would say multiple times, inside baseball to it. It is incredibly well done, incredibly gritty, incredibly inside the business. Still certain people I would root against from that show because of it. But I think that's the point. You can't have heroes without villains.
So it's a basic documentary showing a real life wrestling
showing OVW and them trying to quote unquote survive.
And how many
I will tell you, the first 3 to 4 episodes are a gut punch to end every time.
Yeah, how many episodes roughly?
I want to say it was 8 at this
Okay,
point.
That's kind of your standard for things of its ilk.
Yeah.
I'm game.
8
Yeah,
or 10.
I highly recommend it. It is good. It is good watching.
All right. Make sure you follow us on all your social medias. Everything is The Cheap Popcast. All 3 words in that order. You wind somewhere else. Website's coming. You can follow me if you like. Everything is yes, that Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media, and if you'd like to help out the show, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com and search for The Cheap Popcast. It'll be this logo right up here in the top right. So we got a few different t-shirt designs. We got a few different color option designs within that. If you happen to be an artist or have any suggestions, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
In the URL to get those shirts and make me look awesome. ProWrestlingTees.com/The Cheap Popcast. And on Twitter, I'm Eddie Boonu. If I can learn how to talk.
You can email me if you'd like questions, comments, concerns, somebody to go pound sand, talk about your local promotion. I am Rob@thecheappopcast.com. Charla Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Sunday night, 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things professional wrestling. We will be back next week, so keep an eye out. So until then, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. This has been the Cheap Popcast. Good night, everybody.